Hello and welcome to the Gaggle, where we challenge and, if necessary, destroy media narratives. I'm George Szamuely. With me today, of course, is the co-founder of the Gaggle, Peter Lavelle, host also of RT's talk show, Crosstalk. Well, you know what this is? It is Sunday. And you know what Sunday means? Sunday means that the fate of the world is decided. Those who are sent to hell forever and those who go to purgatory. No one ever goes up to heaven. Just purgatory is the best you can hope for. So it's thumbs ups and thumbs down of the week. I'll go first. I mean, I think the big thumbs down is this absolute loony demand for evacuations galore in Afghanistan. We're talking about tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people being shipped out. Already there is talk of staying beyond August the 31st, which is supposed to be the last day that US forces were supposed to be there. We have to stay on longer because we've got so many more people to bring out. So no one is being vetted. Even the minimum of checking up whether people are carrying COVID, that's not being done. No one even knows whether these people have done anything to help the US effort. I mean, apart from anything else, I mean, they've obviously, all of these people are failures. I mean, they were supposed to have been creating new Afghan society. So we're just taking a couple of 100,000 complete failures. And then the obligation falls on everyone else. Now, yesterday, some 7 people were killed at the Kabul airport because of the mad, chaotic stampede to get on those planes. And of course, this is entirely...
Only seven.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm agreeing with the level of chaos there, and only 7 died. Amazing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But again, all this is these ludicrous politicians who may feel good about themselves by saying, "Oh, we must welcome them." Something like 10 Republican so far, 10 Republican governors says, "Yeah, we'll bring them over. We'll take them in our states." Republican governors. In other words, they're supposed to be conservatives, they're supposed to be protecting their people. This is absolutely insane, causing devastation there, and it's going to cause devastation at home. So I think that's the big thumbs down of the week. Peter.
I'm okay, George. I mean, obviously that people want to get out. I mean, I'm still dumbstruck how many Americans are in Afghanistan. I mean, well, it just proves the trough was there. That way, hey, I need to pay. I'm not gonna take a second mortgage. I'm just gonna work in Afghanistan for a year. Okay. I mean, the trough, obviously. Common sense tells you the Taliban want these people to leave. Okay. Right. It's a logistical problem for the people that want to get out. Now, I'm not gonna give a free pass to the Taliban. But I mean, everybody knew it was coming, okay? And you didn't take preparations. I mean, we do have that letter. Was it 25 people in the Foreign Service diplomats in Kabul were warning of this? So why didn't they say, screw it, get out, everybody, okay? I mean, the story needs to be told. It will be a story of gross incompetence every single where. But this, and it's kind of, you're preempting one of mine, Lindsey Graham. I'll jump in. Lindsey Graham. I don't know if you saw him on Fox, but he's basically, it's not even veiled. Let's go back in. Okay, that's what he's saying. That's what he's saying. This is an opportunity. This is an opportunity to go back in. All right. So we knew this was going to come. We knew this was going to come. But I mean, if the evacuation is so incompetently done, why do you think that you can competently go back in?
Right. Exactly.
I'm sorry.
Obvious point. Yeah.
You can't be 007 and Keystone Cops at the same time. All right. Now, obviously, anyone that is hurt that wants to leave, I'm obviously thinking about children as well that are caught in all the. I'm sorry to hear about that. You have my empathy. But, I thought we were the most sophisticated, richest, most educated, everything superlative, and you can't do this?
Right. Okay. Again, the children thing, the children thing is that, I mean, we have all this on the southern border. I mean, just because they're children, that doesn't mean, well, that automatically, you get to fly wherever you want, because of course, once the children are there, then then the parents have to come, because you can't just have unaccompanied children living in some strange land.
Well, no, I'm thinking about the children of American diplomats, and that's what
Oh,
I'm
I know, yeah, but I mean, because there was all the talk about, the people who are throwing the children over the barbed wire, so, oh, well, just take the children.
Ever a mess that they made for themselves.
Right. Okay?
No, I'm very, very upset, and I'm very perturbed by this whole media coverage. It covers up the gross incompetence and greed of 20 years. And you want to show me a guy falling out of an airplane? Well, what a jerk to hang on to an airplane when it's going into the. I'm sorry, I don't have particular sympathy.
I think that's another issue.
Really
that's another aspect of it, which is so these people are not the brightest bulbs in the world. So again, we're kind of burdening other countries with people who really are not that bright. I mean, holding onto the airplane is not the most intelligent activity. But I think that's also a real issue. I mean, you're bringing people from a very, very primitive society. I mean, there's all the talk about, education for girls. There's not a lot of education in Afghanistan to start with. I mean, these are not nuclear physicists who are, graduating from Kabul University. So, I mean, it's a very primitive society. The educational standards, the income standards are very low. The notion that you're just going to transfer them to Western societies, and then they're just going to adapt and live peaceful, successful, fulfilled lives. It's as nutty as the idea of Western intervention and to turn Afghanistan into this kind of Vermont in Central Asia.
I don't know if you saw the video of a U.S. trainer trying to teach these Afghan soldiers to do jumping jacks.
Right.
Did you see that?
I didn't see that, but I read something like that. Yeah.
He was showing them how to do jumping. I think you and I did this as children. Okay, it's admitted. Okay, in school. Right. But I mean, here are these grown men. They're watching the example and they can't do it. So my question is, George, if you can't do jumping jacks in Kabul, why do you think they'll be able to do it in San Francisco?
No, they can't. Yeah, and that's why I mean everything that we're learning. I mean, how giving them this sophisticated weaponry. There's absolutely no means of knowing how to use this. So this is sophisticated American weaponry that the Afghans had never had the slightest ability to use, which is why they collapsed like a house of cards.
They didn't need it.
No, they did not need it.
They didn't need it, and that's why I don't think they're going to use it. Okay?
No.
Why would they?
No. I mean, that's all going to be just sold off right away, because what use are they? What use are all these helicopters? I mean, they don't know how to fly them, and they need a lot of maintenance. So there aren't going to be any Americans for maintenance. So what can you do? Just sell them off right away. But again, you go in there with this idea of you're going to transform Afghanistan into whatnot. That's failed. So what's the lesson you take? Oh, well, let's bring them over, and they're going to be productive citizens. Graduating from Columbia University with nuclear physics.
No, but George, but see, this is the narrative. See, they want us to focus on these issues here. We have to help our Afghan allies and all that. Right. No, this is a switch and bait. This is I agree. Why was there an utter failure for 20 years? Okay, right. I want people to talk about that. Okay, and I want every single general to be put in front of Congress and consequences for what they did. And one thing we should get from all of this is one big audit, and I mean a detailed one. Right. Now, where did all the money go?
No, okay? I get that. That's right.
So all the pictures you want. This is, they're trying to shield the gross incompetence of people that ran this thing. Okay, and one of the things I think you've noticed too, that there's this really weird tension going on. I mean, the inability to do jumping jacks, but they were fighters, and then, but the former president jetted out with what, $169 million. I mean, they don't really know exactly how to laser focus the narrative, because their incompetence will be exposed. Okay. So,
well, I think that's the thing. I mean, it's clear that this so-called fighting unit has not been any kind of a fighting unit for a long time, and they've known about this. So now we're getting these reports from years ago in which it was saying, most of the people in the Afghan army were high as a kite a lot of the time, when they weren't enjoying what they call, the pleasures of young boys in the bushes. In other words, they weren't doing anything that a supposed fighting unit would be studying and learning how to master. So this has been known for a long time. So this creature, thoroughly modern Millie, who pontificates about January the 6th and white rage, he has known about this. He presided over this. This is the task that the US Army was supposed to be engaged in, training this Afghan army into a fighting unit.
He was one of those Afghan generals. He was in theater. It's not like he was sitting in the Pentagon during all of this. No, he was in country.
Yeah. I mean, exactly.
Okay, I'll jump in here. And kind of an extension of what we were just saying here. Isn't it interesting that the parallel, George, about the incompetence of the ruling class domestically is now mirrored internationally? It's the same group of people. And what it is that they've anointed themselves as being all-knowing and knowing and having a set of values that is superior. They have this belief that they are superior than everyone else. And now we've seen the foreign policy side of it just glaringly. I think it's pretty much like that all over our foreign policy. I think the incompetence, the corruption, the waste, and it just, we all of a sudden over the last week, we're laser focused on it. But I think that is the rule and not the exception.
Well, I think that's right. And I think that's why they've suddenly all media, political and financial media elites have all turned on Biden with a fury, because Biden has somehow exposed all of this. Biden showed that this was all a house of cards. I mean, you're bringing your, exporting Western values, democracy and whatnot. Oh, we're doing it for the women, for the girls. And then it's suddenly showing it that this was nothing. It was a complete and utter fraud. And so that's why now, they want Biden gone. I mean, they're just in an absolute rage, because what he said, however inarticulately with George Stephanopoulos, what he said was true. He said, when is a good time to leave in Afghanistan? 10 years ago? In 10 years time? 20 years time? I mean, there's never going to be a good time. And I think that's why this elite who imagined that, well, we're running everything, the Economist, the Financial Times, did any of these, Davos group at any time during the 20 years say, this is an absolute crock? I mean, why is, we're spending all this blood and treasure in Afghanistan? Not one of them. So now the Economist, Financial Times, and the rest of them have really turned on Biden.
Well, it's very interesting. And now we have a comparison. We have a comparison with Trump and we have a comparison with Biden. And it's very interesting to me is that they want us to squabble endlessly over the minimum wage, critical race theory, Black Lives Matter. They want us to endlessly squabble about that, okay? Right. But when it comes to empire, right. No. You must maintain the empire. That is your that is your primary inheritance as president of the United States. And Trump violated it, and they mercilessly went after him. Remember, NBC News, when was the first time they said Trump acted presidential? When he bombed Syria.
Exactly.
Okay? And now Biden is violating the principles of his inheritance. Okay,
that's it.
He is exposing.
That's it. And that's why when he came to power, it was the thing was, and that's why Biden kept repeating it: America is back. And all of his interlocutors in Europe and Asia, that's it. America's back. Order has been restored. Council on Foreign Relations back center stage. Foreign policy establishment back, NATO, transatlantic alliance, everything is back. God is in his place, and all the angels are back. Order has been restored. And then, to the shock of everyone, he continued with Trump's policy. They were not expecting this. They thought Biden would just simply, he would just kick the can down the road as Obama did, and that's what they were expecting.
And that's why
now they're really pissed.
And that's why they were all caught off guard, because they thought at the last second he'll fold, just like all the other ones did.
Exactly.
That's why. Okay,
right.
That's why this is happening. That's why they Bagram Arabic they abandoned. He's good. He'll come to his senses.
Yes.
He'll come to his senses.
Yeah.
It didn't happen, and this is a catastrophe.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, again, and also, rules-based order and democracy and all this. He was selected, well, he was inaugurated president of the United States, okay? But no, Milley and the rest, no, they're the ones that have the final word. These people need to resign, all of them.
That's right. That's right. No, what they were expecting is that he'll make all the right noises. Well, I'm against forever wars. We can't go on wasting money forever. And I pretty promise that we will get out of Afghanistan. Maybe not this year, but maybe next year, perhaps. That's what they were expecting. You just kick the can down the road, and then and then that's it. But he actually continued with the Trump policy, and then, hey, that's not why we selected you for this job. We thought you were going to basically, turn against all of the Trump era. So now, he is, as we've discussed before, he's in a lot of trouble, because once that establishment has abandoned you, there's no way to go but down.
Well, you can go down, because there's Kamala Harris.
But that's it. That's his. So far, that has worked as his insurance guarantee.
You and I have talked about this before, and maybe some people thought we were being frivolous, but look what's happened right now. Yeah. I mean, there's lots of rumors abound. I don't really want to go into them, but I don't think it's a coincidence that she's in Southeast Asia right now. Okay.
I think so. Yeah. She hasn't come out of this particularly well. It's no one is saying, well, let's maybe we should take another look at Kamala. No, I think that she's being traduced with almost as much vigor as Biden is. So yeah, no one is extolling her virtues.
Look, she was on the ticket, but if she loses the confidence of the president and the people around him, there are ways. There are 6 ways to Sunday.
That's it. Yeah. All right. So anyway, my next thumbs down was Tony Blair, who
I saw that
popped up the other day, and say we absolutely ridiculous, horrible, just getting out of Afghanistan, because of this stupid slogan, "Forever Wars," stupid slogan. It is kind of amazing, a man who was such an absolute fiasco as Tony Blair. You would have thought this reviled person, money grubbing reviled person, has made a ton of money since he left, should actually pop up and start talking about how terrible it is to leave Afghanistan. It's the insolence of these people is quite breathtaking.
Okay, I have a thumbs down here. Something that really upsets me very much, because it's very close to me, is that the Ukrainian government shut down Strana.ua, which was one of the most important media outlets in Ukraine. So again, more rules-based order and freedom of speech and all of this here. Not a whimper from anyone in the West. Not a whimper. Okay. I mean, the war against freedom of speech in Ukraine is breathtaking, okay? It's breathtaking. And all the other machinations that are going on now. I mean, they're turning it into a police state, and it's being cheered by the Council of Foreign Relations, the Atlantic Council, and all the rest of them, okay? I mean, Zelensky turned out very, very, I mean, we thought, give him a shot, it's a long shot, but he had a super majority, maybe he could get something done. I don't think either one of us thought he would turn into an authoritarian. I just thought he would be weak.
Yeah. No, I think it's a very good thumbs down, and it is very interesting that how the media, the Western media, do not cover this at all. I mean, you really just have to go to very specialized media to hear anything at all about it, because you've got the story. it is Putin. Putin's the dictator. Putin is the one who cracks down on freedom of speech, whereas Ukraine is pro-Western, Western democracy, freedom, and all this thing. You know, that's why you have this the revolution of dignity. You know, to bring freedom, and then you know all of the rest, everything. I mean, what you just said. Then we've got the Medvedchuk and everything else that has been going on, and you know, nothing, not one word about this in the Western media. It really is quite shocking. So
You're right.
my next thumbs down is our old friend. Sanctions on Russia is back. There's a new set of sanctions that have just been imposed on Russia because, well, you know, there's the Nord Stream 2. You thought, hey, I thought Nord Stream 2 has been settled. No, apparently there's still some extra sanctions you can impose on the Russians with Nord Stream 2 and Navalny. So both the United Kingdom and the United States are imposing sanctions on Russia. Now, you would have thought the United Kingdom and the United States have other things on their plate. I mean, you know, you got the whole Afghan thing. You think that, hey, they probably, you know, since you're evacuating all these people, you know, you may need to help work with the Russians. You know, they might be able to help out with some of these evacuations. They've offered to help. Yeah, they got big plane. And they've offered to help. No, let's impose some more sanctions. And it's an amazing kind of thing. I mean, it's like, it's now, you know, it's part of daily life. You know, it's as much like the sun comes up, you know, it's time for breakfast. You know, sanctions on Russia is now just something that, you know, you just get, you know, something you can't get rid of. So
yeah, I mean, when they have brunch, it's on the menu.
It's on the menu. Oh, good. But you then ask, what are the sanctions about? Let me think. Oh, yeah, Nord Stream 2. Oh, good. But I thought that was already being settled.
No, we highly recommend it. When we highly recommend it, it's one of the favorites here. No, it's really interesting, you know, watching cable news, you know, I mean, how Russia is so distorted, you know. I saw Angela Merkel, I watched it live, Angela Merkel's farewell address. She came here to Moscow. It was quite demure. And then I watched Deutsche Welle's commentary on it, which I just thought, wow, wow. I don't want to go into detail because in Deutsche Welle, I don't care about it here. But, you know, they mentioned Afghanistan. The Russians have offered help, you know, and then a wall of silence, you know. But let's talk about Navalny. I was just dumbstruck. Okay, I don't know how that helps anybody in the West. But
not at all. Exactly. You think, well, you know, isn't that this whole big Afghan thing? Isn't that kind of what the priority is today? You know, what the hell is Navalny to you? But no, I mean, let's just talk about Navalny.
Well, let's remind everybody, the first foreign leader to call George W. Bush after the events of 9/11 was who? Vladimir Putin. Right. Okay. And now at the end of the fiasco, hey, you need some planes, you know, we can take them out. We'll fly them to Europe if you want. What do you need? Yeah. Nope. Nobody's there to pick up the phone. Okay. Oh, it's like the, you know, these water bombers that the Russians, and the best ones in the world. Year after year, fires on the West Coast. The Russians say, you need these planes? Well, you know, we'll bring them in. Nope, let it burn, let it burn. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. A thumbs down, Donald Trump. I think this is such an opportunity for Donald Trump to articulate ending these forever wars. And I don't think he's doing it very well. I think he needs to be much more nuanced and much more kind of theoretical. Okay, I think he needs to connect these dots here. Don't score. You don't. Punching down at Joe Biden doesn't score you any points. Everybody else is doing it. Okay, what he needs to do is to be and articulate a Trump doctrine about ending these conflicts here. His currency would go through the ceiling,
right?
Because as you and I have said over the last week here, the empire is exposed. People are going to, I didn't know that, really, huh? Okay, and Donald Trump started that. Now pick up the baton again, because you're the only high office holder ever to challenge these people. Keep doing it. Yeah, and it's a winner. It's a winner.
No, I think that's right. And I felt that during because I watched his rally yesterday in Alabama. He starts talking about, well, I launched 59 missiles against Syria. Everyone reached its targets. And why did you do that? Well, because Obama and Biden, they'd drawn the red line, but they didn't do it. Assad, he violated the red line, and they were too gutless to do it. But I'm this tough guy who did it. It's a stupid argument, a really stupid argument. He achieved nothing with that thing. I mean, other than launching pointless missiles. And that's what he was doing. He was saying, oh yeah, Afghanistan, terrible, terrible, horrible war, graveyard of empires, destroy the Soviet Union. We don't want to be there. But if I'd been there, I would have kept the troops there and to evacuate all the civilians. Well, he never said that. No, I don't remember him ever saying we're going to keep the troops there until all civilians have been evacuated. He never said it. He just said we're going to get the troops out, and that's all there is. So, again, he's doing something completely misleading when he says that. And then again, I mean, the whole stance, well, I'm this tough guy and no one would have dared to do anything with me. Well, I mean, once Americans are gone, they're gone. I mean, the Taliban isn't going to stop just because, Trump is this tough guy. So it was an incoherent position. I mean, the crowd was cheering him on, but he was completely incoherent. I mean, you came away. So what is the Trump doctrine other than you don't like Biden and Obama?
Yeah, I mean, what he should have said, we need an audit, how it happened, okay? We need an audit for Iraq, and we need to know what's going on in Syria. Why are they still there? See, this is winning stuff. Yeah, it's winning stuff. It was presented coherently, and he has even his diminished platform, he can get his word out, okay? Because George and I are fundamentally, fanatically anti-interventionist and anti-war. And Trump has this ability, and he has a following where this message can be conveyed. And I'm disappointed that he's not doing it.
Very disappointed. And again, he didn't explain. So, why did you bomb Syria? Why, I mean, how is that helping your non-interventionist agenda? And then assassinating Soleimani, how is that helping your non-intervention agenda? And then, I stopped Nord Stream 2 in its track. I mean, untrue. But again, how does this satisfy any of your agenda? So it goes back ultimately to the failures of his presidency, because he was always, on the one hand, he's this non-interventionist, and on the other hand, he also wants to be the tough guy, the one that no one dares to challenge. It didn't work while he was president. It's not going to work. I mean, unless he actually makes up his mind which way he wants to go.
A real tough guy says no. Right. That is a tough guy today.
Right, I agree.
We need more money for our troops in Syria and Iraq. No,
I agree.
That's courage. That's courage. Okay. And again, we're going to get slings and arrows thrown at us. Biden did the right thing. He screwed up the Trump plan to get out. He put his own fingerprints on it, and he bungled it, and he bungled it badly. But at least until keep away from the evil Lindsey Graham and those people here that just want to go back in. It's like my dogs that have a bone in their jaws and just can't let it go.
Well, Lindsey Graham, he's the sorcerer's apprentice. John McCain. It's ultimately John McCain. Am I up?
I think I'm up because I'm up. Okay. No, you're up. Go ahead.
Okay. Next thumbs down is the Capitol Police conducted an internal inquiry into the shooting of Ashley Babbitt on January the 6th, and surprise, surprise, it exonerated itself. It exonerated the cop who, not to be named. And so everyone did pretty much exactly what they needed to do. Everyone behaved impeccably, no problem at all. Unarmed woman weighing about 100 pounds, shot to death, point blank range. No, everyone did exactly the right thing. Case over, exoneration. It is just so disgraceful. And of course, you have all the idiots on Twitter saying, well, she was breaking the law. She was breaking the law. She got what was coming to her. So, okay, I assume the same argument would apply then to George Floyd. I mean, he was breaking the law. I mean, he's refusing to do as the police tell him. So presumably he also got what was coming to him. I mean, if you're going to use that argument, justify every police murder by saying he was breaking the law, well, then there's going to be an awful lot of end this whole Black Lives Matter movement, because chances are that people who were shot in police custody were breaking the law.
Yeah, well, that's like stopping someone for a parking violation and accidentally shooting them in the head.
Exactly. You were breaking the law, so you got
Twitter is a very, very dumbed down world. Okay, I mean, the Capitol Police did an internal investigation. That's like Tony Soprano saying, "I did an investigation of my family. Everything's fine.
Everything's fine. Everyone behaved impeccably."
Impeccably. Okay. I mean, this is ridiculous here. All right, I want to kind of spin off of that. Kind of curious, George. The FBI, DOJ kind of made some noise about, there wasn't a grand plot out there on January 6th. Okay, really, my thinking is, with all of the chaos going on in the media environment right now, they know they got to drop this one way or another. They dropped it now. Okay. I mean, obviously some people picked up on it, but it's not top of mind. What they're doing is they're walking it back. Okay. There wasn't a grand conspiracy. People are beginning to realize there was some, the FBI had infiltrated some of these groups here. They're being redacted and all this. And just like the evacuation of Kabul, this is a fiasco. Okay. You talk big. You talk big, but when the push comes to shove and the brass tacks have to be shown, you got nothing, okay? You got snake eyes, okay? There'll still be some high-profile trials, I'm sure of that, okay?
But I think it's going to,
what they're doing is,
but it's going to be,
they're just deflating it. They're deflating it. Go ahead.
Yeah, but the problem is with these high-profile trials is that they're still not going to be able to prove the big case. They're still trying to, the conspiracy to overthrow the government, the insurrection, sedition, all of these big ideas that they were saying, what these people were engaged in. Anyone with any common sense who saw what happened on January the 6th would know this was a demonstration that went wrong, a riot that went wrong. Some people behaved idiotically, committed some minor crimes. But that's all it was. There was no plot to overthrow the government. So the DOJ came up with this nonsense, and they've been peddling this nonsense, and they're not going to be able to prove it. All they can do is convict some people of parading, loitering, and that's it. So it's like they're kind of gently letting down the people. Yeah, that we're going to prosecute 570 people. We're not going to be able to deliver. And I think it's they want to get people used to the idea it ain't going to happen. You're not going to get this great conspiracy, led by Trump. I assume that is, but I think there's, other people are speculating that they're getting nervous about all of the stories about the extent of the FBI involvement in instigating the violence. And that's why they just want to basically tamp it down, because if you start holding extensive trials, then all this is going to come out, what the FBI involvement, just as the FBI involvement in the whole kidnapping of governor of Michigan.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So who exactly were you online with? Did he go have a name? Okay. And you have an account. You have a copy of it. So what was he encouraging you to do? Okay. And that's what they want to avoid, obviously.
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
I don't know, did Nancy hear about this? I mean, her commission. So I'm sorry, Nancy.
Well, Liz Cheney. Yeah, that's right. Okay. So my next thumbs down is, what the hell is going on in Australia? I mean, this used to be a country, I also, kind of independent-minded people. They wouldn't take any crap. That's always been the image that Australians cultivated. They're people who, you can't push them around. They don't take orders kindly, unlike the British. And this is just lunacy what's going on there. I mean, they're greater repression of Australia than any country in the world. None of the figures for new infections, deaths, or at all justify lockdowns. There are lockdowns in Sydney, lockdowns in Melbourne, lockdowns in Brisbane, and being enforced by soldiers. They got the army on the streets, people being hit with huge fines. if they violate the lockdowns. And then you can't even go and move from one region to another. You can't go and visit the country or put someone from the country to come into the city. So you need some kind of a permit. This
I'm
is
sorry,
like
George.
Stalinism.
Are you describing Australia or China?
I know, right? Exactly. I think some wag did this on Twitter saying, well, it shows the Taliban, I think, are a little bit less repressive than Australia. So but it's to me, it's just completely bizarre. I mean, why they've gone it. And yesterday there were some demonstrations. We were met with enormous violence from the police. So I don't get it. And again, they have a conservative prime minister, the Scott Morrison. It's just I know, just truly bizarre what's happening there.
Well, it shows the mismatch between from the rhetoric to reality. Okay,
Yeah.
We feel so, we have this venerated institutions of democracy and due process and all that. It's pretty much a facade. Okay, when they want to crack down, they're going to crack down.
Right.
Okay, yeah, you're right. I didn't put it on my list because I'm just kind of don't know what to think about Australia.
But that's the thing, and that's true. We always thought about the Anglo-Saxon world. Well, here in the Anglo-Saxon world, we prize liberty. We're not like the Germans or the French, who just do as they're told by their governments. Turns out the Anglo-Saxons are as supine and as obedient as, I don't know, the Chinese. I mean, you tell them, hey, here are the lockdowns. And we're gonna send you to prison for violating the lockdowns. I said, okay, fine, we'll just go ahead and do it. It's shocking, and I think very troubling. Goes on to a bigger topic, which is this is never going to end. I mean, this is the lockdowns, the masks, everything. It's never going to end. I mean, it's there forever. People are wedded to this notion, and it's just there's just no light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, well, in the case of Australia, they're going to go after the guns again. Okay, again. Okay,
right.
Watch.
Yep.
Okay, I can't figure out if this is a thumbs up or a thumbs down, but George Durham, have you heard that name recently?
No.
That's right. It's been a while. Okay. They basically tasked with investigating the surveillance and obstruction of the Trump campaign and early administration. Apparently, according to the Washington Post and other sources, we could hear something, which is very different. Are we going to hear something real and indictments here? Because Durham has subpoena power. He can demand people to come and speak with him. So it's really very much up in the air with having the Biden administration in charge. If there's a report, is it going to be watered down? Will it just be cautionary? I'm just curious because, the man just went into the ether and now apparently there's a real person named Durham and he's actually doing something and he may have a report. We'll see where it goes.
I'll believe it when I see it. To me, Durham is just this bizarre figure. There's the one picture that you always get on Google. You go to Google Images, always that one picture of that close up of this mustache face. There are no other pictures. It's amazing. No writings. Yes, no. There's no internet presence. What is he well known for? Anything. So I just had my doubts whether such a person existed. So I'm very skeptical that anything at all will ever come out of Durham, other than an exoneration. You've all done very well. You've all done a great job. No one at DOJ, FBI did anything that they should be ashamed of.
So another Soprano treatment.
Exactly. That's it. Good job all around. Shampoos for everyone.
I forgot to put it on my list, but isn't the 90-day review of the origins of the virus about due?
That's another, exactly. What happened about that? We haven't done anything about that 90 day.
Oh, they lost the report in Kabul. Okay,
yes,
there you go.
So my next thumbs down is well, I guess it's a thumbs up. I mean, this book that's published by this whistleblower from Google. His name is Zach Voorhees. and he's written a book called Google
I
Leap.
had him on Crosstalk.
Oh, you had? Oh,
Had him on
really? Okay. Okay. So he apparently he did an interview the other day in which he explained how the Google manipulated the algorithm, particularly in the last election, but even it was doing it during the Trump years, which was a way of grafting new negative stories onto Trump, onto old negative stories onto Trump, which ensured that all of these negative stories continued to stay on Google. So in other words, whenever anyone wanted to do a search on Google, would always get negative stories on Trump. And so it's not something that you and I are particularly shocked by, but it's nice when somebody explains how Google manipulated our algorithm to get the results that you want. It'd be nice if people were more cognizant of how all these things are manipulated, rather than just assume, oh, I look things up on Google. Google is this neutral engine, that just tells you the information. So no, it's actually put together, manipulated by awful little people. So I think it's a thumbs up. I personally don't use Google anymore. I basically use DuckDuckGo. So I did finally give up on Google.
Yeah, I want everyone to understand, George and I love doing this, but we don't even confer with each other on what we're going to say. We never have, not once. But I know myself well enough, and I know George well enough now, is that when we pick a story to talk about, we're sure what we're talking about, or we express some of our doubts here, because you're right. I look at, if there's a story like what's going on in Kabul, of course, I'm going to look at what Fox is saying, but I'm going to look at CNN. I'm going to go to the American Conservative. I'm going to go to Moon of Alabama. I'm going to go to antiwar.com. And that's how I kind of pull everything together, okay? And I know people don't have time during these very hard times, okay? But, this is, if you really want to start understanding the nuance here of how news is used as a political weapon, you have to invest the time. And that's why we're doing it for you, okay? We're doing it for you so you don't have to.
Right.
Okay, so you're right. I had two whistleblowers on, one for Google and one for YouTube. Well, they're the same thing, but it's horrific, and I asked them point blank, so you were censors? Yes, that's what we did. We were censors. Okay, they admitted it.
Right.
Okay.
I think you have to admire people like that. Who are whistleblowers. They're picking up a pretty packet at Google, and for them to blow the whistle means they're giving up, that huge paycheck. And it means they're not going to be able to get, another big job at one of these, big tech companies. It's not like Facebook is now going to hire a whistleblower. So you have to admire, that they sacrifice a great deal when they blow the whistle on Google.
I think it was, I'm not sure who it was. It might have been Clapper. But when they were when Edward Snowden released all of the data dump that he had when he went through WikiLeaks, is that the NSA, what they feared most was not foreign intelligence. They weren't afraid of foreign hacking. They were afraid of one of their own going out, and that's exactly what happened. That's how we.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So, all right, I'm done.
Am I done? Well, I have one other thumbs down, and which is that the FDA apparently is about to give the 2 thumbs up approval for Pfizer's vaccine. Now, from everything that we're hearing, the Pfizer's vaccine is not at all effective. A lot of people have had the Pfizer vaccine and are coming down with the Delta variant or whatever. So it's very peculiar for the FDA suddenly to give its endorsement for Pfizer. Not only because, hey, the record doesn't seem to show that it, to say the least, 100% effective, but again, why Pfizer? Why? What about the others? And so then, given how the poor record of Pfizer, does that mean that the others are even worse? Moderna is even worse. So I have to say there's something very I know, very questionable about this. Why suddenly FDA is coming out for Pfizer, both in terms of the timing and in terms of the relationship with others. You kind of wonder whether some payoffs have taken place. Big people having big jobs at Pfizer, CDC, FDA, and whatever.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things I didn't like about the procurement of an emergency vaccine, is that it gave the pharmaceutical ghouls a chance to make themselves look like knights in shining armor. They're not, folks.
Right.
Okay, they were paid huge amounts of money to develop these things, and every single major pharmaceutical breakthrough over last decades.
Right.
It was the taxpayer that funded. See, this is how it works. The taxpayer funds an idea in these private companies, and so these companies take no loss, none. And if something doesn't work out, well, thanks for the taxpayer money. Okay, but if it works out, thanks for the patent.
Oh, exactly. They get all the profits. Exactly. No
downside.
No downsides at all. And that's right. They made sure that they don't suffer any liability. In other words, they cannot be sued. So that's extremely nice. We don't have to worry about any lawsuits. And these huge profits accrue to us. They don't accrue to the government. They accrue to us. Very, very nice. So that's why there has to be something a little creepy that's going on here. That's why the FDA now is suddenly coming up with this endorsement of Pfizer.
Or there is an alternative explanation, the usual gross incompetence. Okay, I mean, that's my default position now. Right. Okay, right. And it's not just because of this thing in Afghanistan. It's been my default position for a long time. Okay, right. People are just incompetent.
Right.
Okay, and they're never held accountable for it, and they have media that covers for them all of the time. Just like you and I have talked about. Fauci. He. Yes, I'm sure he has medical degrees. I don't contest that, but he's the money ghoul. That's what he is. Okay.
Yeah. And that's why, and he spreads corruption wherever he goes because he disperses huge amounts of money. And where money is concerned, people are ready to lie, to cheat, to swindle because there's money. You fall out with Fauci, those grants stop. Yeah, these people live off grants. I mean, so that's who Fauci is, and he's been doing this for decades. I mean, he was there during the AIDS crisis, and that was a big fiasco at the time. Fauci presided over it. He's a master bureaucrat. I mean, to survive in that jungle in Washington, you have to be very skilled at what you do. But he's basically, a thug. I mean, basically, he just uses the money spigot to get everyone to fall in line.
Well, for the third time, I get to mention Tony Soprano.
Tony Soprano, exactly. Yeah,
I'll tell you, it's one of the most important pieces of our cultural heritage, The Sopranos.
I agree. Yeah,
you can basically understand everything, foreign policy, domestic policy, everything through The Sopranos. Right. It's all there.
No, I agree. I agree. I mean, I think that's when Tony Soprano, we watch him. He's a brute. He's a thug. He's an awful person in every way. And yet, at one moment when he's talking to his shrink, he says, "I'm basically a good guy." And there's no question, he actually thinks I'm basically a good guy. And I always kind of like, that's it, exactly. It's like, kind of think about the United States. You do all the things, but we're basically good guys. We're on the right side.
It's a perfect metaphor because he has a clear conscience.
That's it. Yeah.
I'm just trying to help people.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's our political elite.
Right.
It's the Sopranos on steroids. Okay,
yes.
It's very clear. Watch the series again. If you're locked down, particularly you folks in Australia, have another look. Okay.
All right, Peter. So that's the thumbs ups and thumbs down for the week. So some people can breathe easy, and some people, they better just disappear off the face of the earth. In shame. Oh,
All right, everybody.
that's it.
That's Buddy. He's been listening. We're on Locals, so please go to the gaggle.locals.com. George and I we're hoping next week. I think we'll announce the day.
I think it's Thursday, but we'll put up a notice on Locals, on the Locals page and on the YouTube page that we're going to do super chats, which I haven't done it for a while, but that's really exciting. We're going to be doing it.
And you know what the selling point. You know what the big selling point is? That maybe we'll be able to do it once before they cut us again. Okay.
That's right, exactly. Boom. You know, our first and last live streaming. Boom, you're out of here.
Okay. Also, we're delighted to inform everyone that we're doing short chats on Zoom with followers, our Gaggler friends. George has done some live streaming, more of that coming here, and we have the store up so you can get stuff with this guy on it. Okay, mugs, shirts, t-shirts, the whole bit. Okay, I'm working on a bow tie, and just for selfish reasons. Maybe have kind of different variations. We'll think about that. No. This is a different one. Okay, but folks, we do have a tip jar. Anything you can do to help us out. Like I said during this podcast here, George and I do a lot of work for you. Okay, so help us out a little bit in return.
Absolutely, because we don't have billionaire supporters. No Soros, no Zuckerberg.
No money in his family.
That's it, exactly. He doesn't have any money. So we really do live off our supporters, and anything you can do to help would be most appreciated. So remember, if you like the Gaggle, please like, share, and subscribe. See you soon. Bye.